I have played through the first 2 worlds of Lost in Random the Eternal Die, and it is pretty darn fun. Moving the third-person action platformer to an isometric roguelite has been a smooth transition. Playing as the quote-unquote evil queen from the first title, you are now stuck inside of an evil die. Trying to fight your way out, it's quite pretty. Sounds real good, and it's coming to Game Pass day 1 in June. So let's dive into it in this short impressions piece. The Eternal Die sees you take on the role of the Queen, who, along with her companion Dicey, have been absorbed into the Black Die. There, she'll meet a host of new characters, see some returning faces from the first title, and try to defeat Mayor the Knight, who runs this infernal prison. Whereas the first Lost in Random title was a third-person action platformer, the Eternal Die moves to a Hades-adjacent roguelite setup with an isometric camera. This preview focuses on the first 2 worlds of the game, which I was able to clear after roughly 2.5 or 3 hours. You might be asking, roguelite versus roguelike? This is a roguelite, which means it has out-of-run progression. Games with no progression outside of runs, like, say, Spelunky, are the latter. The Eternal Die's meta progression, at least early on, has consisted of 2 currencies, one that upgrades our queen directly, and the second that both unlocks and then upgrades her weapon set. There is a third system that's not really about upgrades, it just lets you update your appearance, at least for now. I'm not sure if that's going to change later on. Every run sees you and Dicey face a series of rooms covered in a fog of war. Once you're deep enough into a room, that fog lifts and you're tasked with fighting basic minions, or maybe a mini-boss. Some rooms are a game of chance where you'll throw Dicey with the B button, and if the number is high enough, you get a reward. Too low of a number and you gotta fight for your life, and then of course, you got a bunch of bosses at the end of each stage. Early on, the gameplay was pretty tough, with only 1 weapon and 0 upgrades and a really low health pool. The game's pretty generous with the upgrade materials though, so that you can very quickly power up your protagonist before settling into a slower but steady power ramp. These games, of course, live and die on their gameplay, and thankfully, the Eternal Die feels real good to play. If you played the first one, the Queen's itty-bitty now, reverting to a much younger look after being trapped in this prison. While you start with a sword, multiple other weapons are quick to unlock. Each weapon type has a distinct playstyle hidden behind its various upgrades. Alongside that sword, which is real fast, you get a bow, which is the only ranged weapon so far, a hammer, which is slow and hits real big, and a spear, which gives you a lot of reach. I gravitated towards the bow early on, though you do need to hold X to charge up your attack to do any serious damage with it. You will need to rely on a dash on A to avoid enemy attacks, which are pretty easy to read early on, but things can become real hectic in some of the later arenas, and you'll really have to just stare at your queen to stop from constantly being hit. You can toss Dicey around with the B button and use magic cards that you unlock each run with the Y button to add various complexities, changing things up nicely. To use your magic attacks, so you have to hit enemies and have little bits fall off from that fill up your meters. There's also this whole run-based upgrade system tied to blocks that's tied to colors, and it was a little confusing at first, but as you learn it, it gets really fun. And this preview was only available on PC, which ran the game at like 600-700 frames per second. It's an overall simplistic look, but with a really nice art style to back it up. I have little fear that this game is going to run well on console on Xbox Series X and S when it launches on June 17th. The music and voice acting were both solid early on. The voice acting in particular was a standout, because games of this size and budget can struggle with the voice talent and direction, and there was none of that here. There is also a premium edition that gives you 4 days of early access for only a few bucks more than the base cost. It's a bit of an odd pricing structure at $24.64 for the premium and $22.49 for the regular. The press release for it says Premium Edition players will receive early access to the game on June 13th and special bonuses such as a digital art book, exclusive soundtrack, and cosmetic DLC on Steam, and cosmetic DLC if you buy it on the console. Wrapping things up, my first 3 or so hours with Lost in Random the Eternal Die were a delight. Keep an eye on XboxEra as we approach its launch into Game Pass on June 17th. And of course, it's coming to Xbox Series X and S, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. See you next time.